So a week on from Cybertruck first deliveries and, well, everyone is still talking Cybertruck. This time, we're going to hear from Ark Invest sharing their thoughts.
So, Brett, maybe we just dive right in. What was your impression of the Cybertruck reveal? First deliveries.
I think I should be asking you because you're actually our batteries and manufacturing expert. But I would say that it's an amazing piece of engineering that has, lots of new technology embedded in it that they didn't really describe very specifically in the delivery event, but is actually the set of innovations that is going to go into their next gen vehicles and probably an effective way to bring those to market for a first step.
An astute observation here from Brett. Two of the primary innovations within Cybertruck, 48-volt architecture, a first in the automotive industry, a Herculean effort, every part, component in the vehicle on 48-volt architecture, never been done before, meaning whole new supply chain, new suppliers, new parts, everything new. This was an enormous but necessary effort. This has enabled steer-by-wire. Technically could have been done on different architecture, but easier with 48 volt. Now these two innovations alone will need to be copied by other companies or they'll be in big trouble. For those who don't know, steer-by-wire, it's non-mechanical steering, meaning a hell of a lot less parts, e.g. cost savings, complexity savings. More importantly, it's electronic, meaning that the steering can adjust dynamically based on the speed of your vehicle. The turn radius can tighten up. If you're in a car parking lot, driving very slowly, and you want to crank the wheel, turn as much as you possibly can, you don't need to do multiple revolutions hand over hand over hand over hand. The vehicle knows, they're moving slow, probably want to be able to turn as much as they possibly can, probably in a parking lot, garage, leaving a driveway, etc. Versus if you're at highway speed and you crank the wheel as much as you possibly can to one side, the vehicle realizes, probably don't want to be as aggressive with the steering. It dynamically adjusts. Now this may not sound like a big deal, but it is a much better way of doing things. And regarding the 48-volt architecture, the shift to 48-volt architecture, in essence, means an enormous amount of cost and weight savings, less wiring required, a lot of other benefits as well. But it's a very difficult thing to do because, like I said, the entire auto industry today is built upon 12-volt architecture, meaning all the part suppliers making stuff for 12 volts, components, everything. It was a huge effort. And to Brett's point, Tesla has now developed a product built on 48-volt architecture and using steer-by-wire, meaning, as Brett points out, this is a great place, Cybertruck, to debut this technology, which will eventually appear in Tesla's subsequent generations of vehicles. Furthermore, we heard in a review from Haggerty that Tesla literally sent a document to the CEOs of the world's automotive manufacturers. In short, hey dumb fucks, we did your homework for you. Here's how you can make a vehicle built on 48-volt architecture. We have done the work for you. Please copy. It is in your best interest. And by the way, this is actually real. This actually happened. We're on X. Jim Farley quoting some discussion on X about Elon Musk sending this 48-volt architecture document to other CEOs. Jim Farley confirming, Ford's CEO, they weren't joking. We received the document today, dated the 5th of December. Thanks, Elon Musk. Great for the industry. Musk responds, you're welcome. And Farley replying to Musk, great to read the document and realize that our next-gen team has been on a similar path. Okay, Jim. Let's work together to help the supply base move into the 48-volt future as well. And an interesting aside here, it is quite evident that Tesla, the company, actually is trying to help the entire industry transition. In 2014, they open sourced their patents. I mean, that was a huge, big swinging dick moment for Tesla. So confident in their ability to innovate, they literally gave away everything back in 2014. Here's all our stuff. Copy it. We won't sue you. It's all yours. Copy, please. Hello, electric vehicles. Here's how we make them. Here's how you do all this shit. Here's our patents. And apart from a few companies in China, basically everyone ignored this. And now we have round two about a decade later. Hey, dumb fucks. 48-volt architecture should have been the standard decades ago. No one did it. We did. Copy our homework, or you won't be in business in the future. Thank you. Let's hope this time these companies actually listen. Obviously, Jim Farley, clearly thankful for the help. I'm not sure other automotive CEOs will be quite so positive having received this document from Tesla telling them how it's fucking done, bitches. But if they have any sense, they will copy. So think about this. What other company would do something like this to help, literally help the entire industry, their supposed competition?
Right. So then maybe just to frame it, I think it was a mixed reaction from the general public. And the reason for that was, when this was originally unveiled, spec prices were lower that was pre-inflationary pressures as well. And range was touted as being farther. And so then it came out, but the price that it came out, I think, makes a lot of sense. And the features in it, as you said, are pretty remarkable. And then we can touch on range, because I think there's a specific message being sent with the range that they're providing. But just on context for pricing, I think it makes sense that Tesla comes out in the middle of where competitors are, right? Especially given that this is supply constrained. You don't want Tesla price gouging. And we saw some auction early on where someone was willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a Cybertruck, right? It doesn't make sense for them to gouge the customer and say, this is a $115,000 car and we know people want it, so we'll take that and then lower it. But they're really coming out in the midst of where the competitors are. Specifically, you look at the Rivian, that's priced around $79,000. The Ford Lightning is around $79,000. The all-wheel drive Cybertruck coming in at just under $80,000. And if you look at average transaction prices for full-size pickups, it's like $66,000, and for full-size SUVs, it's $77,000.
Yeah, so the point here, as I've discussed previously, inflation alone accounts for a huge amount of the price change from unveil in 2019 to today. But in addition, Tesla doesn't exist in a vacuum. They do have to factor in the gigantic backlog, 2+ million reservations, and what is the actual market clearing price? When you look at what other companies are charging, Cybertruck price-wise, it's actually cheaper than the average transaction price on a pickup truck in the United States by close to 10%. All-wheel drive, a bit above, but when you think about the actual value offered by the product, not even close. And as I mentioned, I did predict ahead of time roughly where Tesla's prices would be on the Cybertruck before it was unveiled, and I was within about 6% on the Cyber Beast and the dual motor. So I wasn't surprised about the prices, but a lot of people who probably hadn't done the same thinking were. That being said, of course, it's never good to suggest here's what the starting price will be, and then 4 years later, it's not the same price. But one, Tesla didn't see the fascist shutdowns, the money printing and so on, causing an enormous amount of inflation. And two, I just don't quite think Tesla was actually expecting over 2 million reservations for this thing. But hey, it's a good problem to have.
$900. So it does seem to be in this sweet spot. I think what you said on the technology is spot on here as well. Tesla has said, they're kind of in the middle of two waves of mass market growth. And I think the Cybertruck is allowing them to have a profitable platform for R&D that's going to go into future vehicles. And so the big ones here, steer-by-wire is pretty remarkable. And so just, if you don't know what that is, if you're turning, I'll bring my hands nice up and close here. If you're making a sharp turn in a normal car, right, you're going hand over hand, turning the wheel. With steer-by-wire, it's essentially dynamic. So going like this turns as sharp as possible when you're going at slow speeds. And then at fast speeds, it adjusts so you're not zigzagging like crazy. So that's pretty novel.
I think another way to, instead of steer, it's called steer by wire because you no longer have the mechanical interconnection between the steering wheel and the wheels, but it's really computational steering because also the back wheels turn also. If you're on the highway and you steer, kind of the front wheels and the back wheels actually turn in the same direction to like allow you to drift across to the new lane really efficiently. Whereas if you're going at slow speeds, the back wheels go this way and the front wheels go this way. So you can get that tight turning radius. And so kind of the people described it as it's almost like the car understands better what you're trying to do by turning the steering wheel rather than it just being like I'm mechanically doing this thing, but it kind of like is misaligned with my actual intention when driving the vehicle. So I think like computational steering and also, braking soon, they still are doing wired braking, I think, but it seems like all of the controls will be abstracted out to, even like in an emergency event, if you brake, there's right now automatic emergency braking that actually fully depresses it to the floor because people have this bias where they only brake a little bit and they should brake a lot harder. But you can imagine if that's all computationally controlled, it actually will really map to the intended action of the user, adjusting for whatever biases the average user might have more completely.
And Brett's right. This is obviously inevitable. It's only a matter of time. Steer-by-wire is the first step to completely digitizing all controls, acceleration, braking, steering, you name it.
And another good example, it's the future of vehicles is software, not mechanical, right? And this is kind of a very clear application of that. One of the other big advancements here that they're unveiling is the 48 volt architecture. So that's good from a efficiency and wiring standpoint. And then it also sounds like what they talked about at Investor Day with how they're planning future wiring harnesses and manufacturing is being somewhat deployed in the Cybertruck, which is you're really reducing the wiring harness, and it sounded like going to more of an Ethernet-based control system, continuing to go further verticalized into these end parts of the vehicle that, again, allow them to do these firmware updates beyond what was ever imagined possible. So it's not just windshield wiper. Who knows how far they will go with the firmware update capability.
And I think this also illustrates the degree to which Tesla, some of these innovations you actually can't do without doing other innovations at the same time. So the whole auto industry is subject to this kind of like chicken egg problem of it's like, we need our suppliers to do this so that we can do this, so that we can make this decision. Like, I think steer by wire is possible only because of the new voltage system they moved to, because you actually need to have kind of like powerful enough motors on the steering mechanism that would be prohibitive on a 12 volt system to run. And so kind of like there's a degree to which when technology is a new technology platform, having like as much control over the entire technology stack as possible is really important, because or else you end up in these scenarios where you can't get everybody to make the decision to do the logical move all at once if you have a bunch of like kind of like farmed out suppliers. And that's what traditional auto has faced. Like,
now, Brett's making a very important point here regarding the whole chicken and egg situation. Change is difficult. And unless there's a company that has the courage and the willingness to push a boulder uphill to make the necessary and obvious change, it never happens. Instead, you have companies just crying in the corner, knowing what would make sense, yet being unwilling to deal with the pain and discomfort of making it happen, which is totally fine as long as everyone else in your industry is also a little bitch who doesn't want to take the pain. The problem is a company like Tesla comes along and goes, well, this is fucking dumb. Why is everyone doing this? Oh, that's right, because they're fucking dumb. We're not dumb, so let's not do this. It's going to be painful, but let's move to 48 volt architecture. Let's do this. Let's do that. Tesla takes the pain, makes the change, and now everybody who was comfortable, complacent, and didn't want to deal with the change and the pain involved realizes, uh-oh, we're in trouble now, aren't we? Story of Tesla's life. If companies are unwilling to disrupt themselves, someone else will do it for them.
They all recognize that steer by wire is something that they should do. They all recognize that 48 volts is something they should do, but how do they convince all of their tier one suppliers to like transition over at the same time as them, at the same time as all of their competitors? And Tesla's big enough in the marketplace now in terms of its vehicle programs that it can compel some suppliers that it needs to transition over, and then it can design the spec and kind of engineer themselves right up against what the specification is. And so the net is they end up with a more efficient vehicle. And that's like, it's no surprise to me that they priced the vehicle where they did. That's where, that's the clearing cost for a vehicle with these kinds of specs. And actually they're spec superior to certainly the Lightning and the Rivian.
Notice he said regarding Tesla's pricing on Cybertruck, that's the clearing price. He's right. Market clearing price. And again, hence why I wasn't particularly surprised about final prices for Cybertruck. Remember, 12, 18 months ago, the price to buy Tesla vehicles went through the roof. Why? Market clearing price. Wait times were getting too absurd. Wasn't a good customer experience. Tesla had to increase the prices temporarily. Otherwise, customers will be putting in orders and waiting 12, 18 plus months to take delivery. Not a good experience.
I think if you're honestly accounting for all of the performance that they're delivering, and because they are all the way in on this new architecture, they should have a steeper cost decline in terms of their ability to manufacture these technologies over time. And so we don't know what the gross profitability on the Cybertruck is going to be starting out, and it'll be really sensitive to the ramp of the program. But there's definitely reason to believe if they stay at this price point, all competitors stay at this price point, they will be like much more profitable for these vehicles relative to competitors because of the way they're set up and pursuing these new technologies.
Also accurate and important. In short, Once Cybertruck is ramped up, for other companies to sell a comparable vehicle with comparable capabilities, their cost to produce that vehicle will be significantly higher than Tesla. So they have two choices: sell it for a much higher price and then no one wants to buy it, or sell it for whatever price you need to compete with Tesla. But because your cost to produce it is significantly higher, you have razor-thin profit margins. Either way, it's not looking good.
And that brings us to this last point of controversy from the unveil, which is the range. And Cybertruck all-wheel drive coming out with 340-mile estimated range.
Now, sorry to jump the gun here, but I'm just going to make a prediction. My prediction is that Ark Invest, pretty smart guys, will understand the reason for the range adjustments on Cybertruck isn't a technological limitation, but Tesla looking at usage data and realizing that in order to create a product that will suit the needs of the 80+% of the market as opposed to the 20% who are the exceptions to the rule, it made absolutely no sense to offer a product with a huge battery that the vast majority of consumers would never need, meaning they'd be lugging around additional weight, losing payload and towing capacity for nothing. And the cost to produce the vehicle would be higher, meaning the cost to the customer would be higher. That's my suspicion. I suspect that Ark are about to explain, Tesla looked at the data and thought, 500 miles of range, that's really fucking dumb. No one needs that. And for the few exceptions who do need that, why don't we have a range extender instead? Makes more sense from a manufacturing point of view. Now, I may be very embarrassed if this is not what they say, but they're pretty smart guys, so I suspect that this is right around the corner. Back to you guys.
With a range extender, which is essentially a big toolbox shape, fits in the trunk of the Cybertruck, roughly 50 kilowatt hours, I think, extends the range to 470 miles of range. And so then, people are saying, originally there was a trim that offered over 500 miles of range. Why are they going with 340? What is this range extender intentional? What are they thinking with this? And I think the reality is that there has been a range arms race in a sense, with people coming out and they're saying, longer range. Tesla does have the supercharger network. Everyone's signing on to the supercharger network. It's wasteful and illogical, I would say, to really have range beyond the 350 to 400 mile range. At the same time, talking to people after the event, it seems like the range anxiety number is clearly somewhere between the 300 and 470. It's like you tell people 470 and they're like, oh, absolutely, bigger is better. But I think it's an intentional saying, this is the logical range that you want, especially with such a expansive supercharger network.
I have a question. When you say wasteful beyond 300 miles, is that because it just takes too much to then charge? Like if you are doing a road trip, right? Charging beyond 300, 400 miles, that for most people, they're not going to sit around and wait for, a full charge past 400 miles because it would take 30, 40 minutes. Or are you saying there's another reason why you think that's wasteful?
I'm actually the inverse of what you said. If you have 400 miles, if you have 400 miles of range, you're probably stopping before you drive 400 miles. That's a long time to drive without stopping. And because probably 95% of people are not going to exceed that in.
There we go. Called it. Data. He's right. Almost zero people need that much range. One, people don't have superhuman bladders. And two, the data shows the vast majority of trips, even long trips, fall well within that range. So again, 500 miles might be great for bragging rights, but it's impractical, unnecessary, and completely illogical. And as I've mentioned, even when you factor in loss of range for towing or having something in the back, when you look at actual usage data, if you cut the range in half, assume you lose half or even 2/3 while towing, a vehicle in that 300 to 400 miles of range will be sufficient for people. Most people will stop every couple hours, bathroom break, recharge, etc. Not a big deal. And again, there are the tiny exceptions to the rule, but Tesla has produced a mass market vehicle for the mass market, not for the exceptions to the rule, but instead for the rule.
In everyday travel, right? If you're driving, even if you're road tripping, maybe you need it if you're towing something heavy in cold conditions and you're going from, below sea level up the Rockies and you're stopping before you have to. So I think it's kind of just from everyday use, 350 to 400 miles is that sweet spot. And it's even gas powered cars have various tank sizes. such that they get roughly 400 miles of range with gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think to me, the range extender actually makes sense if you are going to be imagine you're towing horses or something, and kind of because 340 miles of range is not towing. I did like using our EV model, back of the envelope kind of calculation. It looks like if you're towing a full load, it might be 170 miles, and that really depends on how much drag. It could be worse than that if like there's a lot of drag from.
Based on Brett's calculations, you lose roughly half of your range while towing. So again, if you do need to tow, if you are the exception to the rule, anyone want to guess out of 100 people that own a pickup truck, how many of those people regularly tow horses? It's probably not many. Then the range extender makes a lot of sense. And another point too, I saw some interesting suggestions, people thinking it makes more sense to have a trailer you pull behind you that extends your range. I'm like, what? The reason, almost in every case, that you would want extra range on a truck is if you are towing. And if you are towing, keyword there, towing, makes a lot more sense to have a range extender that sits in the back of the vehicle as opposed to being one you need to tow behind you. Because if you're towing the battery behind you, then you can't really be towing whatever you're trying to tow. Unless, of course, you have a trailer that has a battery in it, but let's not go down that path. Tesla's definitely thought about this. And for those that do need the extra range because they are towing, that is what the range extender is for. But these are the exceptions to the rule. Think about how many times you see a pickup truck driving out and about in your daily life. What percent of those are towing something? Exactly.
The trailer. So kind of like the implementation, somebody who's going to be towing a trailer behind the truck a lot, or the range extender might make a lot of sense. And wasteful, I think there's another way to interpret wasteful, which is if you slap more batteries on the vehicle, you hurt 0 to 60 time, and you hurt kind of like the handling characteristics of the vehicle. And so there is a trade-off of like just, how important is it for the vehicle to feel zippy versus you get 500 miles of range instead of 300 miles of range. And that is an engineering trade-off. And in some ways, Tesla's investments in efficiency kind of on the 800 volt system, on the 48 volt system, and on the like reducing the amount of weight of wires in the vehicle all like allow them to be a little more flexible in terms of like how much battery they inject in their vehicle. And you're having to weigh kind of range against really vehicle performance characteristics and feel. And the fact is the average driver drives 30 miles a day. So like
Brett coming in hard with the data, which once again, data, facts, don't care about your feelings. Sam pointed out earlier, final Cybertruck specs, particularly range, an extremely logical, not emotional, logical decision.
Range anxiety is real, but it's also like a real one day a year for people, and so that's another kind of trade. It's clear that the market has voted and 150 mile EV is not something that's going to sell. It's clear that a 300 plus mile EV is something that will sell. Maybe we don't yet know in trucking where maybe that you do need more range and that they'll, as they, conceptually, the battery should get more efficient and denser over time. And so they should be able to up range within the same form factor in the Cybertruck over time, but marginally. And then they have this option with the range extender to do it more meaningfully for an extra spend from customers.
All right. And then last question here to wrap this topic up. The Cybertruck is a premium pickup truck with lots of premium features. Do you think that there will be a less expensive stripped down version, or not really? This maybe in a few years time and it's not necessarily cyber and they go a different route? Or do you think they say, if the Cybertruck did cost $45,000, then that would sell like hotcakes, even if it didn't have the powered cover over the tailgate, doesn't have steer by wire, doesn't go 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, I guess the question is, do you think the design and look and feel of it is that mass market pickup truck? I think the reason they've gone after the premium segment is because it does probably draw in a unique crowd of buyers. But that's just my general. I think you could, go back and forth all day on the look and feel of it. But I do think it attracts a more unique buyer than, a mass market, even at a lower price point. How many people would that attract with, its very sharp edges? Like, it's just a very untraditional vehicle. So I don't know that it would be worth bringing down the price that far.
I think there's a utility truck buyer that's out there that they could get to. And in some ways, I think people's upsetness with the price is related to the fact that they could have just only done the stainless steel exterior and not tried to inject additional technology into this, like, or at least the power front lift and the power back thing, and, and really gone bare bones and gone after kind of like this, call it the farm truck, like that's really a farm truck buyer rather than the luxury farm truck buyer. And they clearly didn't. And I don't know if they ever, given how like production ramp constraints and really their ambitions as a company for like a mass market robotaxi vehicle, if that's ever a step they will be efficient for them to take.
In my completely uninformed opinion, it's extremely unlikely that Tesla's going to develop a watered-down version of the Cybertruck instead, given the fact that we already know today the average transaction price on a pickup truck in the United States is almost 10% higher than Tesla's entry-level Cybertruck, which offers exceptional value. Nothing's close. I suspect that Tesla instead, given the fact that despite these guys claiming it's a premium vehicle, it is based on features but not based on price. Don't get me wrong, it ain't cheap, but again, we have to cite the data. The average transaction price on a new pickup truck in the United States is over $66,000. Entry-level Cybertruck, just over $60,000. Given this, I suspect what will happen over time is Tesla will continue to scale production, drive their costs down, pass those cost savings on. Caveat there, they do need to get through their insane backlog first. And eventually, the price of the Cybertruck will continue to decline over time. And eventually, over a long enough time frame, inflation adjusted will end up sub $50,000, maybe into the mid-40s eventually, without the need to produce a significantly watered down version in the interim. But hey, what would I know? Just some guy on the internet.
To go down market in that way. But I also have no intrinsic sense for the truck market because I was shocked that the average new truck is $67,000. Like, I just don't, I clearly don't have I'm not a truck buyer. And I know that there are people who know the market much better than I do. And it seems like there's plenty of market available for them in kind of like the after incentives, like $70,000 mark. That seems like they could clearly occupy that spot at the current set of build as they ramp production for a while. I don't know.
And we didn't say it, but Cybertruck clearly a marketing machine. People, anywhere it goes, people are flocking. It doesn't even say Tesla on it, it just says Cybertruck, but people know what it is because it's so bold. The ads, the towing a Porsche 911 and beating it in the 0 to 60 was probably one of the greatest ads. I'm sure we'll see some nice Twitter threads, X threads with that in 10 years time, looking back and saying, this was a classic ad.
I have one last question, and I don't know if we have the answer to it, so I'll pose it to the listeners as well. I need to know why there is only one windshield wiper, because I've been watching reviews and I've heard multiple times that, the front windshield is the largest piece of glass ever constructed in the automotive industry, which I think is really interesting and cool. But why not be able to wipe that entire front windshield? Because the pictures, when you see it of just the one windshield wipers, you leave, a decent percentage of that windshield still pretty dirty. And I'm just so curious why they went and, took that approach.
Spoiler alert. The best part is no part. Now, it is a large windshield. Believe it or not, that single blade clears everything in front of the driver and almost everything in front of the front seat passenger who isn't driving the vehicle. It may not look like that optically, but I've seen shots from inside the vehicle. Now, this is just a big-brained engineering decision. Remember we talked earlier about meeting the needs of the 80% rather than the 20%? The same applies to the windshield. If wiping the 80%, that includes the driver and essentially everything in front of the passenger except a tiny portion to the side, does the job, then it does the job. Extremely logical decision. Simple as that. You know what they say about vehicles with a really big wiper, right? They only need one.
I'm sure there's a very reasonable answer, but I haven't heard it.
There you go.
That's my in the
bring the comments. Let's get the answers. Yeah. Let's get the
It's
answers
my
out
very
there.
in the weeds. Like I just have to know this. I'm so curious.
So very interesting discussion there. Ark Invest nailing a lot of points, especially regarding range, specs, the market opportunity, pricing. And clearly of these three men, there's one who isn't particularly engineering minded. The best wiper is no wiper. Now, the main question I have, folks, how long will it take for legacy automotive manufacturers to adopt 48-volt architecture in their vehicles? It's going to be very telling in how quickly they can adapt and innovate. Actually, not really, because Tesla's already done the homework for them, but hey. It'll give us an indication of how quickly they can copy Tesla's homework when Tesla literally sends them all of the answers. Here's everything you guys need to do. Do it. Otherwise, you're going to go bankrupt. Place your bets. When does the first fully 48-volt vehicle come out from any legacy automotive manufacturer, if ever? Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment and please let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.